toy fans, Aaron here. Today, taking a look at the Black Series release of Clone Commander Doom. This 3 3/4 inch version has had the card refreshed to the TIE Fighter back, and I think that's a much more improved version over the black with the orange stripes. Still not my most favorite card, but like I said, it is an improvement. Through the blister, of course, you do see the figure with his included accessories, and then down at the bottom you can see his name along with that number 13 for his place in the line, and then that sketch of him off to the right side. On the back side, things are looking pretty typical for the Black Series line. You get your Star Wars logo, his number in the line, and his name once again, and then a very brief description about him underneath that. And then for the bottom part of the card, you get the artwork of Commander Doom. Taking a look at the figure out of the packaging, overall, not too bad of a figure. If you're wondering where he's from, you can find him in Season 6, Episode 1. He was in about the first 10 minutes or so. And what we have here is a realistic interpretation of that character. And Hasbro did this for a few figures in the line. Even though they released figures that were more accurate to the cartoon, they still put out a few more, like I said, that were realistic in its interpretation. And in this case, it used parts from Captain Rex that was released just a few figures early in the line. What was new for this figure is the torso and, of course, the helmet, or the head, because it looks different. Otherwise, the rest of the parts are just repainted. Looking in closer on the head, like I said, things looking pretty good. Helmet design looks very much like he did in the show. It's molded in the green color. You get some nice silver painting being done for the antenna sticking off on the left side, or screen left, his right side of his helmet. So for the face, you're going to get some nice gray painting in there. It does extend onto the bottom side a bit of that visor that's sticking out of the helmet. I don't know how well you're going to see that on camera. And even the black painting for the visor is just a little washed out. Maybe they painted the black first. Just didn't get that. It just didn't get a good solid coverage over the gray. Or maybe the gray splattered onto it, whichever way they painted it. Either way, it just seems a little murky looking. Down towards the front of the face, you do have a pretty nice blend going from the gray to the green, and it seems pretty even on both sides. And then farther down, a couple silver dots placed right in the little vent spots for the helmet. So for the rest of the upper half of the figure, things still looking pretty good. It's exactly what you want your clone troopers to look like. As far as the sculpting, each of the individual armor pieces throughout the arms look great. The shapes painted in on the top of each shoulder also look nice with some clean lines through there. So you get good separation with a little stripe of gray. And then on his left side, that green and yellow painting's looking good with a green triangle painted in the center of that yellow. Moving down the arms, you got some great separation of the black for the undersuit underneath the armor. On the forearm of his right arm, it's a pretty decent paint job with some blue, white, reds, and yellows in there for a little comm panel. Through the upper part of his chest, you got a yellow triangle painted in there, and then some pretty nice painting being done for the ranking emblem off on his left side. As the figure rotates around to the back side, nothing crazy here, but I do like the gray painting being done in here to help detail out his back. One thing about the torso area on this figure is it does not sit level or flush against the bottom of the figure. You can see on the left side it is raised up a little bit. Maybe that's because of the comma being on there, making it a tight fit. I'm not entirely certain. So it does give him a little bit of a crooked stance when you're looking at it. Moving on down for the rest of the figure, detailing for the commas looking really nice. All the various pouches sculpted along the belt line are looking good. Nice brown painting, and for the most part, that's staying right where it needs to be. A little bit of bleeding here and there, but come on, it is just a little 3 3/4 inch figure. Holsters on each side of his hip where you can slide his included weapons into, and I like the pattern of the yellow painting being done with the gray trim running around the edges. All very much like it looked in the show, but what isn't done as he looked in the show is there is just absolutely no wear to the green paint, and I think this figure certainly would have benefited from some of that being applied. And then as far as your legs, it's your base clone trooper armor, molded in the green color for the upper half, and then you get down towards his bottom legs where it's a nice gray color, matching up quite well with the rest of the figure. Since they did the black painting for the joints on the arms, I will say I wish they would have added that on the kneecap of the figure. As you can see, the joint itself on the inside is black, and they certainly have the texturing being done in there for the undersuit, but for whatever reason, it's just all gray. As far as articulation, full swivel at the head, along with your up and down and side to side movement. Arms only raise up about 45 degrees because that armor gets in the way and meets up on the torso, but you still get your full rotation in there. Hinge and swivel at the elbows. Both wrists swivel and both raise up and down. Full swivel at the waist. The legs come forward about 45 degrees, and they only swing back just a little bit. His butt is not sculpted to allow for any more movement beyond that. Bend at the knee along with your swiveling in there. Ankles move forward and back, and you have your rotation. As far as accessories, comes with 2 blasters. Pretty decent detailing to them. As you can see, no weathering or anything else applied to it, so it's just done in that base black plastic. The weapons fit a little loose in his hands, at least on my figure. Can't quite get his index fingers to slide into that trigger slot, but for the most part they still stay in place. And as I said, you got the functioning holsters on each side of his hip, so if you don't want him holding on to him, you can slide him in there. So overall, not a bad looking figure. I think he definitely would have benefited from having some weathering applied to the armor just to help break up some of that green color. Plus, like I said, his armor was worn in the show. I certainly have no problem with them doing a realistic interpretation of the character, since they did that with other characters in the line. And why not? It still looks good alongside the other figures you have from the movies. So that wraps this one up. Definitely let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.